Hi, guys. Welcome back. If you're new to the show, make sure you hit subscribe. And if you've been here before, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. These first two videos I'm going to share with you today are basically gay women that are basically talking about how they feel about straight women. But they're going to lead to the third video, which is really why we're here. I'll tell you as we go along. I hope you enjoy. Stay with me.
So you straight and so spaghetti until it gets wet. So what's up? What's your name?
All right. So I don't know if you heard that, but she said, okay, so you're straight. Okay, so in other words, she's talking to a straight woman, and then she's still saying, "Hey, what's up? What's your name?" She's basically starting, to hit on her. Let's move on to the second one. And she was smooth. She probably gets a lot of phone numbers and a lot of girlfriends. Here's the next person.
Hey, this to all my single straight women, right? Have
Right?
y'all considered dating women? Like, really consider it? You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all tired of dudes. Y'all tired of they fuck ups or whatever. What y'all got to lose at this point? What y'all got to lose? Come on over to the other side. You know what I'm saying? Now, if we break your heart, I mean, ain't no difference from what you already been through, you know what I'm saying? But at least you tried. At least you was like, and if it works out, you know what I'm saying? It could be a beautiful thing.
So if there's two gay women that are attracted to one another, I don't think anybody really has a problem with them wanting to date. But if you're literally hitting on somebody that's straight while you knowingly are gay, there might be some problems to that. At least that's what Anya's World has to say about it. Let's see Anya's World's video now.
I'm going to say this, and it's probably going to ruffle some feathers, but somebody's got to do it. If you are a woman and you purposely befriend other women with the intentions to eventually sleep with them, you're a predator. There's this weird phenomenon in women and female and girl friendships where a woman will be on the DL, or she might be bi, and she will befriend other women that she finds attractive. But when she approaches that woman, instead of her being honest about her intentions, she approaches her like she wants to be her homegirl and build this sisterhood. Then you get comfortable with the girl, and then one day you guys are out, you're drinking, you're having fun, and this is somebody that you trust to be drunk around. And next thing you know, that girl is touching you inappropriately. She's trying to kiss you, she's trying to coerce you. It is very predatory and very weird.
Someone is your best friend. You're thinking it's a platonic, straight best friend, right? And all of a sudden, you guys are getting liquored up together. But instead of her remaining in that role as your best friend and looking out for you, all of a sudden she's putting the moves on you. And because you've got alcohol in your system, maybe you're, not as defensive as you normally would be, right? Your defenses come down. So let's take a look at this first girl again. She starts off as your best friend, looking to potentially, be a continuous person you could hang out with in a friendship manner. And all of a sudden, she's asking you, what's up? Is there something wrong with that? Not necessarily. Let's go to the second person. Again, she comes into your life as your best friend. You might be married to your husband or engaged to your male boyfriend, right? And all of a sudden, she's drunk with you and she's starting to ask you the $1 million question. Have you ever thought about switching teams? Let's go back to Anya's World and see what she has to say about this.
And I was never a fan of, women joking or fantasizing about sleeping with their homegirls. You should have boundaries on a friend versus somebody that you're casually sleeping with. Because if you're messing with your homegirls on the low, she's not your friend. She's a casual fling. And that's okay. But you guys are purposely preying on women who you know don't swing that way with hopes in turning them out. And it is so weird. It's predatory. Just think about it. If a man was out here trying to befriend women, make it seem like a genuine friendship, and the moment that woman gets drunk and gets comfortable, he tries to make his move, y'all know that those men get labeled as predators, and oftentimes they go to jail.
So that's why I wanted you guys to see this. What she's saying there is true. If a guy kind of acts like a friend, and then as you're drinking with that guy, all of a sudden he wants to be something more than a friend, we universally look at that and say, hey, that's not on the up and up. But if a woman does that, do we honestly view it differently? Apparently, it's a borderline epidemic that straight women go through, where at some point in their life they have these friends that end up hitting on them. If you've gone through this before, please let me know down in the comments.
So if you're a woman and you're doing that to other women, you're a weirdo. Many women who do this stuff will label themselves as straight because they're usually in a relationship where they have children by a man, but they have this whole DL thing that they sleep with women on the low, or sometimes it's not even on the low. Y'all are bragging and boasting about being attracted to women and sleeping with women, but you're in a relationship with a man. And there's nothing wrong with being a lesbian or bisexual, but if you are doing this, you're not a straight woman. Please live in your truth. You are not a straight person. And then a lot of y'all be in relationships with men, and then you're cheating on your man with your homegirls. Lord!
And here's the crazy thing. Some guys are totally okay with that. Guys, if you've let your wife kiss her best friend that was a female, or even make love to her, and you're brave enough to admit it, let us know down in the comments. I know for a fact that some men would be totally okay with that. She got a little bit away from what she was saying at the beginning, though. Is this wrong? If your best friend, ladies, got you drunk and then took advantage of you, would you look at it as an, oh my God, that's just Becky being goofy, we were both drunk? Or would you literally be upset and would it end the friendship and would you potentially call the authorities?
We need the thing is, we always talk about men who young girls. This happens a lot that we just don't talk about, and I think a lot of times men who are the victims, they sweep it under the rug. Because I've dated many men who said that their first experience was with their babysitter.
I've heard through my life 2 or 3 buddies that told me that of similar experiences where they were maybe 10, 11, 12 years old messing around with their 15, 16, 17-year-old babysitter. That does happen a lot. The reason I wanted you guys to see this was not only for the lesbian bit, but we have a situation that I definitely never saw when I was growing up, where there's a lot of female predators that are making the news now. The number one source that I hear it from is YouTube, and it's usually involving a teacher with an underage male student.
Women are just as creepy and evil as men. They're just not held accountable for their behavior. You gotta remember, these are the same ones that are 14 and 15-year-old boys in high school that are bragging about being picked up by 20 to 21-year-old females.
And that's another weird thing, and it's a little bit embarrassing, but I think if you're in my age group of your 40s or 50s, I think you'd have to admit this is true. We grew up thinking that if a guy hit on his teacher or his teacher hit on him, that that was some sort of crazy awesome achievement and they should be patted on the back and idolized. But the reality was they were actually victimized by their teachers. And even if a kid's 15 or 16 years old and knows what he's doing, that means that teacher's probably in her 20s or 30s and should know that she can't go down that route. So those guys really are the victims, even if a lot of men, feel like, hey, they really scored.
I think the thing that's been so crazy to me during this whole adventure from my original post is people don't really ask questions about my mom being a pedophile. And I really do believe it's because she was a woman and not a man, which I find disgusting. So I was watching Shameless all over again last night with my husband, and the scene came up where there was a female teacher that had essayed one of her students and was now living in the neighborhood. And when they found out it was a woman, they didn't beat her ass, right? And it made me think about this. Almost 1 million views on that video. I have done 2 separate videos about my mom's pedophilia. And people never really seem to bash her that much for it, which if it was a man, it would be insane what would happen. And it wasn't just the 15-year-old that she ended up being with for 7 years. It was the boy next door. I need to tell you about that story. He was 17. At this time, my mom was 27. Linda, my mom used to call her Nosy Linda, would always yell at my mom, and we just thought Linda was this horrible person. We went on vacation and we came back, and my Linda set up cameras facing our house. I had no idea why this happened. Later on, way later on in life, we found out it's because my mom was having schmecks with her 16, almost 17-year-old son.
Wow.
What was my mom's response to this? To get gasoline and write BITCH in her front lawn and set it on fire.
Wow.
This is the same person that now calls me a WHORE on a constant basis and criticizes me for having several relationships in my life. Keyword, relationships. Also, yeah, I don't think hookup culture is a real thing, and I don't think body count matters whatsoever. But what I do care about is when someone went around boinking young kids and tells me that I'm the problem, that's a little crazy.
So she said earlier that people kind of knew this about her mom, and because her mom was a woman, nobody went and beat her up. I got this today in the mail. It's a notice from the city that says, hey, down the street from you and a couple houses over, you're going to have one of these people that has actually broken crimes by messing around with children in the neighborhood. Now, the question I have for you is how many of us would grab a little pamphlet like this, just assume it's junk mail, and toss it right out? Well, if you don't look at this and open it up, you won't happen to see the address or the name of the person that this is affecting. So wouldn't it be horrible if all of a sudden you found out this person was a couple houses away from some kids? That's what we have to worry about in this world. Make sure you take a look at your mail. You never know if someone's trying to warn you. Her mom actually ended up burning something in the woman's front yard. That woman had every right to be upset because this lady's mom was trying to have sex with her son. Her son was 16 or 17. There are certain states where I know they have like an age of consent that might be younger than 18. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Do you guys think if the age of consent is 16 or 17, do you think that makes it a little bit better? Because technically, I don't think someone's breaking a law if they're not going against the age of consent. And in some states, I think it's as early as 14.
You know what I find really weird and highly fucking disturbing?
What?
We talk about SA and raping and all this other shit as it just is primarily a man thing, and men are only predators. Like, there are women out here that do this shit too, and it's like, yeah, it may not be on the same scope, whatever, but the damage that happens is damage that fucking happens. Like, I was SA. I lost my virginity at like 11, 12. I had a partner who's in his 40s. He got SA'd by a chick that was, taking him home from work. And she was like 25 to 27. And he was like 15. But we come to a point in life where men, like, they think this shit is cool. It's like, this shit ain't fucking cool. Let that kid be a kid. Like, what the fuck attracts you to a kid? I don't understand the thought process, and I'm not trying to really understand it because it's disgusting regardless.
Now, notice he said when he was 11, 12 years old, he had a relationship with some woman, I'm assuming. I bet at 11 or 12, he probably thought it was cool. But as you get older, you reflect back and you say, my God, that woman did me horrible. She should have let me be a kid. Because right when you start opening those doors of your sexuality, it's kind of hard to close them and go back to being a child.
This shit is fucking weird. I don't give a damn. I'll be the first person to say that. There ain't nothing cool about letting some grown-ass woman touch on you, little boy. If you are under the age of consent, under the age of 21, and you letting somebody that's twice your age, 3 times your age, whatever, touch on you, and you ain't saying nothing, something is wrong with you. That shit ain't cool. That ain't nothing to laugh about. That ain't nothing to be proud about. None of that shit. That shit is fucking weird, and she is weird for wanting to touch on you. Talking about, oh, this is my little boyfriend. This is my... Bitch, no, that is not. That is a fucking child. Leave that little boy alone.
And I guarantee you she wouldn't do that in front of adults, right? That's how you deep down know that it's not right. If someone's able to touch somebody that's much younger with them without shame when no one's looking, but yet they're not willing to do that when everyone's looking, what's that tell you? And by the way, even if you're an adult with somebody else, you shouldn't be touching people while other people are looking. Do that behind closed doors.
But boys can be victims of being raped too.
Right?
You got older women who lust after little boys They be the mama friend. Girl, he just getting so big. Yeah, girl, he 13 now. 13. Yeah, he's getting big. And the next thing you know, she know when you go to work, she come to your house and she seduced that little boy. But the difference is with the young men is, it's because we have made it cool for a man to pursue an older woman, or a woman to pursue a young man, that we don't necessarily call it rape.
Right.
Because nobody is really teaching that is really wrong.
And what if that woman gives a very adult STI to a very innocent 13 or 14-year-old kid? You're 13 or 14, even if you've been messing around with other 13 and 14-year-old people, you're probably not carrying any STIs, right? Mathematically speaking. But if all of a sudden you're dipping into some 30 or 40-year-old woman who obviously doesn't have very good morals, I bet you a lot of kids end up having STIs from these people.
It's only wrong when it's done to the females. But can I tell you that it's just as wrong when somebody go and takes a young man's innocence?
Amen.
It's wrong.
It is.
It's wrong. There are many young men who are victims. Y'all will never say it. You will never admit it. But it's the truth. Victims. That's why you got some young men that are hypersexual. They've been exposed to it early. Somebody touched them. Somebody did something. Somebody gave them something that they weren't mature enough to handle yet.
You have this kid, he really enjoys doing his schoolwork, right? He's getting A's, and all of a sudden I could see an adult bringing sex into his life, and there go your grades. All of a sudden he's going to look at this adult woman as somebody that he's going to listen to, and he's probably going to start mouthing off to his parents, or in many of these boys' cases, that their parent is a single mom, right?
Women are predators too, and I feel like we don't talk about this enough. It's absolutely disgusting how many men I've talked to and told me they were a victim of abuse as a child. And worse, how common and known it was. Like, it was common knowledge that there were grown-ass women preying on these young boys. And other grown women in the neighborhood knew that they were preying on these boys and did nothing. Now, their stories aren't mine to share, but I want you guys to be aware. From my understanding, a lot of the time these women are moms with their own sons or young daughters. They're the cool moms, and their homes are considered the party houses. Pretty much you can go and do whatever you want. Groups of boys would go over, and that nasty predator would choose a boy, pump his head up, and take advantage of him. It's absolutely sick and disgusting. And a lot of the time, these young boys don't even realize they're being abused. And it's not their fault. It's all the adults' faults. All the people that knew and did nothing. And we need to stop brushing it under the rug.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. Listen, the first couple girls that I showed that were basically doing a mock interpretation of hitting on a woman, they didn't do anything wrong, and I hope I didn't come across that way. Oh my goodness, this was the toughest video I've ever made. The reason it is tough is because we all know that being a predator is wrong, and we should all, as society, be against the predator. It's just I'm not used to situations where it's like, hey, if a girl gets somebody to change their sexuality, is that immoral? If somebody is hitting on a guy, but the guy is 17 and the age of consent is 16, is that still immoral? We even had a guy that said if someone's 21 and they're dating somebody that's 2 or 3 times their age, is that immoral? I'll tell you what is immoral. If you don't hit subscribe, don't hit the thumbs up, don't come back again tomorrow and watch more videos with me because I love watching videos with you. So have a good night. I'll see you then.